Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a wholesome story with a Karen being defeated and the family having a great time. Great job, OP. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Hibachi fun. One day my wife convinced me to go to a tulip farm. Spent the time picking up tulips, paying for them, and having to stand and walk around for 3 hours for Instagram pictures is not fun. By the end of that event, we were tired and hungry. I wanted to eat somewhere fun and found a hibachi place. My kids were excited and my wife was happy with her haul. We ended up arriving at the hibachi place and led to our seats. Great service by the staff. More on that later. I forgot to mention that I had a toddler and wanted a high seat for my daughter so she can see the griddle. The staff pointed to one of the waitstaff and indicated I needed a high chair. I was 10 feet from the chair and the waitress was further away. I waved her off and grabbed the chair myself. As I returned to the table, another couple was being led to the other side of our table. Each hibachi setup sat 9 to 10 people, so I stopped to let them pass. After passing, a woman turned around and said something to me, but it was noisy and I was concentrating on getting my daughter seated. As I struggled with the seatbelt, I felt a tap on my shoulder, but I sat my daughter first. After seating my daughter, I turned around and the same lady was literally inches from my face telling me a bunch of things. I giggled and told her, "Sorry, I don't work here." Now, I don't know why she thought I did it all. Everyone who worked there was dressed in black and white. I was wearing a t-shirt, had mud on my shoes, and my hair was tossed around like I haven't slept in days. However, she insisted and kept raising her voice at me. Granted, it was noisy. I repeated that I don't work here. She then was heated, yelling, getting angry, saying that it was about her food allergies, and if she got sick, she'd sue me. At this point, I was tired and told her, "I don't care about your allergies because I don't work here." She put her finger in my face, and then my wife notices, gets up, swats her hand away, and stood between this lady and I. My wife clarifies that I don't work there, turns around and sits me down, and this lady keeps raising her voice that I was rude to her. At this point, her husband was red and grabbed to sit her down. This interaction lasted for less than a minute. The staff came by and calmed everyone down and made sure everyone was seated. They asked if I wanted to be moved. I said no. I was fine where I was. Then asked the lady if she wanted to be moved, and she said no, but seemed pretty pissed off. The hibachi chef has noticed all this as he rolled his cart in. He started his routine, and my wife and kids loved it. I just sat there, happy as a clam that everyone was having a great time while I would get to eat. At this point of the dinner, the hibachi chef started spraying my kids with water, which they loved, and for the adults, he would spray them with white wine from a bottle to loosen them up. When he gets to me, he gives me a really long dose and says, "You need a double. You work overtime today." I thought this was hilarious. As he went around giving all the adults a spray of wine, he gets to the lady and gives her the tiniest of spray and says, "Maybe not too much for you." She giggles, but was obviously not entertained. As he does his routine, we had a good time and ate good food. My kids loved it, and to me, that was the important part. Now, after the routine, the chef started cleaning up. He tosses a clean rag and scraper near me, and without missing a beat, I yelled, "Yes, boss," got up and started scraping off the grill. The chef started barking at me even more. I moved faster and more frantically. Then a waitstaff brings a mop and a bucket, and I start mopping. Everyone was laughing. My kids were going crazy. It was hilarious to me, of course. So to add to it, I spontaneously asked everyone to give a generous tip for the show, though it wasn't necessary, and they did. Except for you-know-who. I was finally urged back to my chair with clapping from my family. Chef gave a handshake for being a good sport and went on his way. We finished eating and getting served dessert. We then hear talking for the corner where the couple is now arguing because she was mad at me and her husband allowed it all to happen. I really felt bad at that point and just wanted everyone to leave on a good note. I apologized about the interaction earlier because it was easy for me, had not stake in their argument, and it did seem to help. We finished eating and packed up our stuff to leave. As we were leaving, this lady was at the lobby complaining to the manager about everything. My wife stopped and chimed in. Apparently the manager already knew, made it clear to the lady to calm down, and in the most racist Asian accent said, "Oh, so sorry, no refund, now you go home." The lady was getting pulled by her husband to the parking lot at this point? Sorry, dude. Then that manager turns to us in the most New Jersey accent. I can't believe that accent worked. Hope you guys had a great time. He proceeded to talk to my wife and kids while his staff helped me get our stuff into the car. He walked us out and gave my kids some takeaway snacks. Loved it. Overall, it was a fun day. This sounds like a great time. Good on you and your family for not letting Karen get under your skin. The staff at the restaurant deserves praise as well. They read the situation and handled it like the pros they obviously are. And our second story. You want me to stay at the Slicer? Okay. I work part-time at Arby's. We're known for our roast beef, which is sliced to order with the slicer. Our beef and cheddar plus roast beef sandwiches are the most popular, so when you're in the kitchen, you're going to be using the slicer a lot. I'm 17. Legally, you have to be 18 to operate it, but at my location, we don't listen to it at all. My general manager pretty much says, as long as you don't F around with it, I don't care. We all know the dangers of the slicer, and we know not to treat it like a toy. So I'm a great deal younger than the subject of this story, Rebecca. She thinks teenagers are just incompetent children. She has it out for me, and on some days it feels like she's analyzing my every move to criticize me if I make a mistake. Why does she have a grudge against me? Because she has a God complex, and I put my foot down. Today we had 2 people in the kitchen, me and Rebecca. Fun. Now, our menu isn't completely composed of beef products. To name a few, we have the brisket, Reuben, gyros, which sometimes have beef, but I digress, turkey, ranch, and bacon, and a slew of wraps, and that's not even our full menu. That's just to give you an idea of how much more we have than the beef. At one point, we got someone who ordered 4 briskets at once. One person can only do so much, so when I saw that Rebecca was struggling to handle it by herself, I decided to come over and help. I take the bottle of mayo from the tray and start putting it on the buns that required it. Rebecca saw this, and instead of working together, she decided it'd be a good idea to rip the bottle from my hand, push me to the side, and say, "No, you just stay over at the Slicer. I got this, okay?" Okay. So I go over to the Slicer. I look up at the monitor. I see that someone up at the front counter ordered 3 roast beef sandwiches, so I quickly make those and send them out. I look back up, drive-through wants a beef and cheddar double. I make it and send it out. Look back up, nothing that requires roast beef. I do, however, see that there are several different sandwiches not containing beef, the type of stuff you have to focus on, the type of stuff you can't do on your own. I figured, hey, she wanted me to stay at the Slicer, so that's exactly what I did. After double-checking to make sure there wasn't anything that I needed to do with beef, I sat down on the floor, brought my phone out, then started browsing Reddit. About 10 seconds later, which doesn't seem like long, but in fast food every second counts, I look back up at her. She's running back and forth, scrambling to get even one thing done because she's trying to do everything at once. I look up, a roast beef slider's up on the monitor, so I stand up, slice some beef, measure out 1.5 ounces, and set it on the counter next to her since her side of the kitchen is where the slider buns and cheese and stuff are at, so it's her responsibility since she wants that part of the kitchen to herself. It was at this point I made eye contact with her and smiled. It may have seemed like a "I'm happy to be helping you" smile, but it was more of an "it's amusing to me that your instructions are backfiring horribly" smile. I then sat back down and continued fiddling with my phone. Now, my manager Julie wasn't happy about the fact that Rebecca was pushing me away and not letting me help. Julie actually found my reaction to the situation funny. But she wasn't laughing while she chewed Rebecca out for being a B-word and shoving me out of the way. I know there are idiots who will argue against basic human wages because even if someone works a minimum wage type of job, they can stay and work their way up. Yeah, $30 or $40K a year to babysit teenagers wouldn't be worth it to me. Take this post. The OP thought them sitting on the floor and playing on their phone while getting paid was an action to be applauded for? Raise wages and you'll raise the quality of worker you get. And our next story. Deal with it. Okay, consider it dealt with. A friend of mine, Richard, told me about something that happened to him yesterday. Richard works at an outlet village. It's a shopping center of sorts, lots of shops with excellent parking. As a parking enforcement officer, he's a decent guy. Generally, if someone parks in the wrong place, he'll give them a chance to move rather than ticketing them. On to the story. Yesterday, he's at work when this middle-aged woman tears into the car park really fast and slams her car into a disabled parking bay. He approaches the car from the back. She, as the woman and her son are getting out, says to the woman that she can't park there as it's a disabled space. She replies, "We'll be 5 minutes, deal with it," without even looking around to see or even acknowledge who spoke to her. So he complied by dealing with it with a ticket, £80 fine. He said it felt good. It's a reminder that parking enforcement officers aren't just there for decoration. They're doing a job to maintain order and fairness. And our last story. I resigned my job of 20 years. On October 3rd, I went in on my day off and gave a 30-day notice. Context: I am a lead imaging technologist for a large company. I'm the only nuclear medicine technologist. I gave them 30 days in hope that they could find another tech to come in and get some sort of training before I left. I hit send on the email and got an immediate call from my boss's boss. He asked me what was wrong. I told him it was simple. You didn't invest in my career development. I found a job that was willing to invest in me as a human. He asked what he could do. I told him he needed to get the wheels in motion to get a replacement. Don't waste your time getting a counteroffer together because November 4th is my last day of work. My boss called 2 hours later, same conversation. You need to get a replacement in place. I'm leaving. I'm not staying. You need to prepare for that. I have a tech aide. They schedule patients and keep our revenue up. I'm taking her with me, and she gave her notice last Friday. Oh, the crap storm came. Myself and my tech aide generate about 2 million in billable studies a year. We are going to a direct competitor. We let some of our top referring offices know that we're leaving and going to steal an insane amount of business. I only have 10 years left before I retire. What triggered this? I was denied a $10K a year raise. Peanuts compared to the work my tech aide and I do. I don't know why companies insist on giving all the business profits to their C-suite and not investing into their backbone employees. Then they wonder why the turnover rate's so high. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.